Good morning, y'all. It's Monday, which means we're not fixing feelings. We're not unpacking trauma, and we're absolutely not pretending common sense is optional. This is Monday Petty Monday, where the behavior is harmless, the honesty is necessary, and the petty is just enough to deserve commentary. Now, if you came for validation, this might not be your day. But if you came to laugh and judge maybe just a little and move on with your life, you're exactly where you need to be. All right, welcome back, y'all. This is Ask a Bee, and today is Monday, Petty Monday, which means that we are staying inside the same universe we've always built here, okay? With a slightly different lens. This is still thoughtful, this is still grounded, and this is still human. But today, we are not doing emotional gymnastics to justify behavior that never needed to happen in the first place. Mondays are for noticing nonsense, not fixing it. Let me say this clearly because tone matters here. Monday, Petty Monday, is not about being mean. It's definitely not about dragging people for sport. This is about harmless, honest, everyday petty. The kind of petty that doesn't ruin lives, but does make you stop and ask yourself how someone arrived at that decision with a straight face and full confidence. This is the I'm not mad, I'm impressed you committed to that lane. Okay. We judge, yes, but we do it quietly, subtly, observantly. The only way you judge when you're listening to a story and you don't interrupt, you don't argue, you just let the details pile up until the conclusion speaks for itself. That's the Ask a Bee way. I'm not here to yell, you're wrong. I'm here to say, help me understand this part. And then let the silence do the work. So today, you're going to hear letters where the writer is being petty on purpose, maybe without realizing it, maybe full aware and proud of it. Okay. That's your your heart slot. Those are the moments where someone chooses chaos, stood 10 toes down in it, and now wants to know if the confidence alone makes it okay. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it absolutely does not. Either way, we're going to talk about it. Then you're going to hear letters from people dealing with petty behavior, coming at them sideways. Okay, that's gravel road. That's the slow realization that you're not crazy. You're just surrounded by someone doing entirely too much for no good reason. We're not fixing those people today. No, we're just naming what's happening and deciding how much energy it deserves. This is not therapy hour, okay? This is not healing circle. This happens plenty the rest of the week, okay? Monday, Petty Monday is where we acknowledge that not every situation is deep and not every decision deserves a long conversation. Some things just deserve a raised eyebrow and a long pause and a very calm, well, that was a choice. And before anybody worries, no, we are not turning it into a roast show. Okay. There's still warmth here. There's still grace here, but there is also accountability through observation and humor through honesty, right? Think less lecture, more I'm going to let you hear this out loud and see how it lands. If you're new here, welcome in. You don't need a thick skin, but you do need a sense of humor. If you've been here a while, you already know I'm not interested in embarrassing people. I'm interested in understanding patterns, calling out unnecessary behavior, and doing it in a way that makes you laugh instead of get defensive. Okay. So grab your coffee, settle in, get comfortable. We've got some petty on deck today that is harmless, honest, and just petty enough to deserve commentary. And if at any point you catch yourself thinking, I would have done that or wouldn't have done that, congratulations. You're exactly where you need to be. Let's see who we have talking. Hello, 420 Cool Gamer. How you doing? Pardon me, I'm going to blast y'all for a second. I forgot to do that. I get to forgetting to do that, IGGY, right? Okay, so done blasting. Let me get my notes reset. That's not the way to do it. Y'all, I'm trying this new thing out here and I don't think it's working right. I just don't. Nope, it's not. All right, that's okay because I'm about to fix it. Pardon me, work with me here. It's what happens when a YouTuber gets new toys, you know, and then it says, hey, this is new and we don't like it. So could you maybe fix that? And you're in the middle of a live show. That's when it's the bestest ever, right? Okay, so now that I've got it fixed, before we get into the letters today, I want to start with situation, okay, that's been sitting with me because it's a good example of the kind of petty that we're talking about on Mondays. All right, this isn't a big dramatic blow up, and it's not a situation where anyone was openly disrespectful. It's one of those moments that only becomes clear when you replay it later and realize exactly how much confidence someone had in a choice that didn't actually belong to them. Now, this happened in a space where people show up because they care, not because they're clocking in. A place built on goodwill, shared effort, and the understanding that everyone's contribution matters because there isn't a backup team waiting in the wings. When something works, it's because people quietly did the work. When it doesn't, it's usually because someone decided commentary counted the same as participation. No, what made this moment stand out wasn't what was said, but how it was said. The phrasing was careful, polite, even. The kind of wording that sounds helpful on the surface, but carries an expectation underneath it, right? So, suggestions delivered as observations, opinions framed as concerns are all very measured, all very confident, and all coming from a place that wasn't actually in the middle of the work. I remember listening and thinking, okay, that's an interesting take. Not wrong exactly, just bold, especially considering where it was coming from. And instead of reacting in the moment, I did what I usually do and I just paused. I let it sit. Don't react. You guys know I tell you that all the time. Don't react. Okay. I watched to see what was going to happen next because what people do after they speak often tells you more than the words themselves, right? That's where the petty comes in. Not loud petty, and not dramatic petty. It's the kind of where you just don't argue, you don't correct, you don't explain, you just stop cushioning the impact. You let the idea exist on its own and see how it performs without assistance. Okay. So, as I tell this story, which this is my story, keep the lens in mind. Okay. Nobody is being attacked, nobody is being dragged. This is simply about noticing what happens when someone wants influence without involvement and what it feels like to quietly step back and let things land exactly where they land. With that in mind, let me tell you what happened. Okay. This is the fun part. I mean, yeah, because my tools aren't working right still. So here we go. Let's see if I can get this done now. Yay, we're doing it right. Y'all, I'm sorry. StreamYard has a teleprompter, and I'm trying my best to use it with my notes, but it's really starting to drive me nuts. Anyway, yo, you got a question. What's your question? Punk. Symbols Punk. I'm not sure what your name is, but you got a question? Let me hear it. Love to answer questions. That's why I'm Ask a Bee. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and go on with this while you get ready with your question. So here's what happened. I'm involved in a volunteer space where nobody's getting paid, right? Nobody's clocking hours and nobody is there because a boss told them to be. People show up because they want to, which usually means there's an unspoken agreement that if you're going to have opinions, you're also going to have participation. Radical concept. I know. Most of the time, this place runs just fine. People step in, people help, things get done. It's not perfect, but it works because effort is maintained. Okay. Um, it's valued more than commentary, which is why this moment kind of caught my attention because it arrived with a level of confidence that made me think, oh, this is going to be interesting. It started with one of those comments that sounded mindful until you play it in your head, polite, calm, carefully worded, the kind of comment that floats into the room, just sits there waiting for someone else to do something with it. And at first, I nodded because that's what you do when you're processing information in real time, right? But then my brain caught up and went, wait, why are we taking notes from the balcony? Because that's what it felt like. Commentary from the balcony. Okay. Strong opinions, thoughtful delivery, absolutely zero signs of anyone on or of anyone planning to come down onto the stage and, actually help run the whole business. And honestly, I respected the confidence. Okay. I wouldn't have done it, but I respected that someone woke up that day and said, yes, I will be observing loudly. Then, came for more of it. Suggestions about how things might land. Okay. Thoughts about presentations, ideas about tone, all delivered with this calm. Does this applies to all people? It doesn't matter what color they are, dear. Now, to get back, all this delivered with calm certainty, like we were having a book club, right? Discussion instead of actively building something together. It was very composed, very articulate, very theoretical. And I remember sitting there thinking, okay, so the confidence is high, the feedback is flowing, and the hands, however, remain clean. No volunteering, no stepping in. No, I've got this part, just commentary, neatly packaged and gently handed off to whoever was already doing the work. Now, old me, okay, would have jumped right in. Old me would have smoothed it over, translated the intent, quietly adjusted everything behind the scenes. So it all landed perfectly. Okay. All right. Well, honey, if you will just write in with your letter because this show is already ready and this is Petty Monday, you can here, I'll tell you what, I'll even put it up for you. If you want to be a panelist on any one of our shows, you can send your emails right there. I am BBTV Productions1 at Gmail. Okay. That'll be up there for a few minutes if you want to jot that down. So old me would have thought, it's fine. I'll just handle it because that's what keeps this moving, right? But something in me paused this time because I realized I was being invited to do extra work in response to an opinion that came with no intention of participating. So instead of reacting, I did something bold. I did nothing extra. I didn't argue, didn't explain, I didn't clarify. Hi, just a dude. Back, okay. Back when I was a straight man, it was my dark and gloomy days. Every morning waking up and realizing I'm a living lie. Just a dude, you're gay. Okay. Well, I'm happy you're here. If there's anything I can do for you, here, let me put this right back up for you. You can write me an email even if you just want to talk, okay? You can write Big Jack, you can write me, you can write Davina, you can watch all of our channels, and one of us would definitely be happy to help you. And I'm very sorry was what you're going through. One day I had the courage to break free from this lie. So I went to my dad and shout from the top of my colorful lungs, beautiful colors, honey. Go ahead, give me your story. We can talk about this right now if that's what you want to do. That's what I'm here for. I can go on with the show after we're done. Good for you, honey. Good for you for standing up. Sweetie, I'm very sorry that that happened to you. I truly am. I truly am. That's not right. And I'll tell you, I have a transgender child. So I understand. And you have my heart. I'm sorry you went through that, honey. I have another banner for you I'd like to give you. I hope you'll take this and keep this with you because this is important. I can't imagine what you're going through. You did what? Really? So that's what this is about? Honey, I suggest maybe that you go ahead and write an email because this part right here is about to be deleted because that's just kind of rude. Okay, let's not be rude here. I won't push you out of here, and I'm sorry for what you've gone through, if that's really true, especially after that almost last statement. You might want to try and grab your phone, text 988 if that's really what's going on, or 911 because you need to get you some help, sweetheart. And I'm sorry you have to do that. You are very supported here, darling, and I'm sorry. I really am that you have gone through that. I really am. People have a hard time in life right now, and I hate that it's that happening. Okay. Now I'm gonna get back to my show. I would really appreciate it if you go ahead and, you know what, I'm gonna pull this down again, and I'd like to put this back up here for you. You want to write me an email? You go right ahead. We can talk. Okay. BBTV Productions 1 @gmail.com. That's me. All right. Write me an email. We'll talk. Okay. Now I'm gonna have to get back to the show, y'all, because I got time limits. I appreciate you being here, hon. Take care of yourself, okay? You got numbers to call. Use them. You got an email you can use. Let me know. All right? Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. You do you, and you be proud of you, okay? You are beautiful, and I don't even know what you look like for the simple fact that you brought your story out in the open, and regardless of how you treated you, you still feel yourself, and that's okay. That's what you need to do, okay? Take care of yourself, please. Okay, now I'm gonna get back to this. A little bit somber mood, but I'm gonna try and be petty again, okay? It's hard being petty after a story like that, honey, but I'm serious. Take care of yourself. All right, so let me go back a little bit because, yeah. So, okay, I did nothing extra. I didn't argue, right? I didn't explain. I didn't really clarify. I just kept doing exactly what I had already committed to doing. No more, no less, which it turns out a very effective way to introduce reality into a situation. Because once I stopped cushioning things, little gaps started showing up. Nothing dramatic, right? No fires, just moments where things didn't magically resolve themselves. Timing felt off, decisions felt heavier. The flow wasn't as smooth, not because anyone sabotaged anything, but because the invisible assistant everyone had grown used to had clocked out. And suddenly the vibe shifted. You could feel it, not loudly, but enough. That quiet discomfort that creeps in when people realize, the system relied on someone doing more than they ever agreed to. I just sat there thinking, look at that. Nature is healing. There were moments, okay, where I absolutely could not or could have jumped back in and fixed this, smoothed it, saved the flow, right? And the instinct was there because habits die hard. But I stayed put, mostly out of curiosity, okay? I wanted to see what would happen when the commentary had to stand on its own without someone else translating it into an action. Spoiler alert, confidence does not do the work by itself. What I learned was simple. Sounding sure and being involved are not the same thing. Having thoughts is not the same thing as carrying responsibility. It's very easy to talk about how things should look when you're not the one making it actually function, right? And here's the petty part, because yes, there is one. I didn't feel bad. I felt calm. Calm in the way you feel when you finally stop rearranging the furniture around someone else's opinion. Calm in the way you feel when you realize you don't actually owe anyone extra effort just because they said something confidently. If someone wanted a different outcome, they had every opportunity to step in and create it. If someone wanted a higher standard, they were welcome to participate in upholding it. And all I did was stop filling in the space between intention and execution. So when I look back on it now, I'm not mad. I'm not offended. I'm mostly impressed by the confidence, impressed by the commitment to commentary, and equally impressed by how quickly the atmosphere changed when the sidelines stayed exactly where they were. I wouldn't have done it, but I respect that someone chose chaos, and that is Monday, Petty Monday. You know it is, for real, because it's just how Monday works, I think. It's like you're straight now. Okay, well, you choose you however you want to be, okay? So, let's see here. That is not the one I wanted. Please do it right. Okay, copy. Yep, I'm getting all discombobulated. There we go. So, all right. Now that I guess we've established the tone for the day, it's time to move into Bless Your Heart, which is the part of the show where someone writes in fully aware they might be doing a little too much, but confident enough to ask anyway. This is not a cry for help. This is not confusion. This is someone looking around at situation that actively contributed to and saying, hear me out. Bless Your Heart letters are special because the petty is coming from inside the house. These are the moments where the writer made a choice, stood by the choice, doubled down on the choice, and now wants to know if the confidence alone somehow makes it reasonable. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it absolutely does not. Either way, the audacity deserves airtime. This is also where subtle judgment does its best work, because I'm not here to tell anyone they're wrong. I'm here to walk through the decisions in the order they happen and let the math do the math. Think less courtroom drama, more raised eyebrow and a long pause where everyone quietly agrees something feels off. So as you listen to this letter, because I'm still doing the videos, trying to save my voice, y'all, I want you to pay attention to what's being said and what's being skipped. Notice who's doing the work, okay? Who's doing the talking and who seems very confident about how things should go, while, I guess, staying comfortably out of the splash zone, I think we'll call it. Those details matter, all right? Let's get into the Bless Your Heart letter.
Dear B, I volunteer at a community-based organization that relies entirely on people showing up because they want to, not because they're paid. Most of us do a little bit of everything, and for the most part it runs smoothly because everyone understands that if you don't pull your weight, someone else ends up carrying it. There's one person I work alongside who seems to approach things very differently. They're always talking about standards, appearances, and how things should look from the outside, but when it comes time to actually do the work, they're noticeably hands-off. They like to oversee, comment, and redirect, but they don't really get into the messy parts that make the whole thing function. I've tried to ignore it. I really have, but after a while, it starts to feel less like guidance and more like commentary from the sidelines. Especially when suggestions come wrapped in vague statements like, some people feel, or, it might come across better if, without ever actually taking ownership of the feedback or stepping in to help execute it. Here's where I might be the petty one. Instead of continuing to smooth things over or compensate for the gaps, I stopped adjusting my own workflow to accommodate theirs. I still do what I'm responsible for, but I no longer anticipate their needs, translate their intentions, or quietly fix things after the fact. If something goes unfinished or awkward because no one stepped in, I let it stay that way. I didn't make a scene. I didn't call it out publicly. I didn't confront them directly. I just matched their level of involvement. And now there's a noticeable tension that wasn't there before, even though nothing was ever said out loud. So here's my question. Was I wrong for pulling back and letting things land where they land, or was that the natural consequence of someone wanting control without contribution? I can't tell if I'm being quietly unreasonable or if I just finally stopped doing extra work that nobody noticed until it was gone. Bless my heart, probably petty, but tired.
Okay. So let's slow this one down a little bit, because this one is one of those letters that sounds reasonable if you skim it, but starts telling a different story the longer you sit with it. On the surface, you're calm, you're measured, and you're very intentional about how you describe your actions, which already tells me you've replayed this more than once, right? When someone writes like that, it's usually because they're trying to decide whether their confidence crossed the line into something else. You're in a volunteer environment, right? And that matters more than people like to admit. Volunteer spaces don't run on titles and they don't run on commentary. They run on effort. They run on people showing up, doing the unglamorous parts, and quietly filling gaps because they believe in the bigger pictures. Influence in a space like that isn't granted by proximity or opinion. It's earned by participation, okay? That's the benefit we have to establish before anything else makes sense, right? So, what immediately stood out to me is how much attention you paid to how things appeared versus how they actually functioned. There's a lot of focus on presentation, tone, and perception, okay? And not a lot of focus on execution here. That's not inherently wrong, but it's revealing. It suggests a mindset that values the idea of order more than the work that creates it. And in a volunteer space, that different it really matters, okay? You mentioned offering observations, suggestions, and concerns. Okay, but you never once mentioned stepping in to take ownership of the outcome. That's where this starts to tilt just a little bit for me, because there's a difference between collaborations and commentary, and the line between them is whether you're willing to get involved when things get uncomfortable. It's easy to talk about what should happen. It's harder to be the person who makes it happen, okay? Now, let's talk about the choice you made, because this is where the petty lives. You didn't confront the situation directly. You didn't announce a boundary. You didn't call anyone out. Instead, you pulled back quietly. You stopped compensating. You stopped smoothing. You stopped translating intentions into action. And whether you meant it that way or not, that decision carried weight. Big weight. Some people would label that passive aggressive. I don't agree with that. Passive aggressive behavior usually involves mixed signals and indirect punishment. What you did was consistent. You matched your effort to your actual responsibility and removed the invisible labor that had been propping things up. That's not aggression, that's alignment. Plain and simple. And alignment tends to make people uncomfortable when they were benefiting from imbalance. What's happening now is not retaliation, okay? It's recalibration. When a system has relied on someone doing extra without acknowledgement, the moment that extra disappears feels personal to the people who never realized it was there. That tension you're feeling, it's not because you did something wrong, okay? It's because the environment changed. And I mean, it changed. Change always exposes assumptions, right? Well, thank you, ADOGYT16, spreading the gospel. Tracy Doll, hi, honey. I'm so happy to see you. How are you, my friend? I seen you wrapped up your garden. I'll bet it really was a fruitful garden. I hope it was. I know it was. You're awesome. You got this. You got two green thumbs, doll. Plain and simple. Okay, so I also want to point out something else, that you didn't sabotage anything. You didn't withhold information. You didn't intentionally create problems. You simply stopped solving problems that weren't yours to solve. And if that alone caused disruption, that tells you how much unspoken responsibility that you were carrying before all that. That's not petty, okay? That's informative. I mean, seriously. So, doing it again, sorry. There's also a very specific kind of confidence at play here, and it's worth naming gently, okay? It's okay. It's the confidence that assumes someone else will handle the follow through, okay? The kind that feels comfortable offering direction without ever stepping into accountability. It's not loud, it's calm, it's polished, almost reassuring, and it tends to thrive in environments where someone else is quietly making things work. Now, I'm going to say this carefully, guys. Oh, I'm good. I can't find your channel for some reason. Can you drop your link, please? Absolutely, my dear. 1 second. Let me grab that for you. Oh, I know I can do this. I'm not sure why you can't find me, doll, but I am here. I promise you. You know what? Let me just do this. That's so silly. Come on now. Go back, because that's dumb. I don't know why I'm doing this so crazy. For some reason, I can't get with it today. My brain is fried after working in the cold yesterday, y'all. And I worked 12 hours in the cold yesterday. I am done freezing for one day. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do it the right way because I do not want to. Well, screw it. I'll just do it this way. Here. It's going to look like Big Jack is dropping this, but this is me, y'all. I'm in our studio that we share. I don't know, babe. Honestly, there's been so much going on with, see, now that tells me a lot. I lost like about 50 subs. So it's YouTube doing it because they just cleaned out my account because I just got my monetization back. There's my link on all channels. I don't know which one you're at and I don't want to look, but there you go. That's me, doll. It's me. I'm sorry, honey. YouTube does that. YouTube does that. And apparently they do it to my good subs too, which just kind of makes me mad. All right. Anyway, let's get back to this. Because I want to say this carefully because the tone really matters here. And I respect this confidence. I wouldn't have done it, but I respect that show, you know. Hold on. Because here I've got my, you're welcome, dog. I'm so glad you're here, though. Thank you for being here. So, okay, I gotta find my place. I'm blah blah. Okay, I've got to get back over here to my notes, y'all. I'm sorry. So volunteer spaces are especially sensitive in this dynamic because no one is obligated to absorb someone else's expectations. When someone starts offering guidance without contribution, the burden doesn't disappear, it shifts. And more often than not, it shifts into the person who cares enough to keep things from falling apart. That's a fast track to burnout. And, burnout rarely announces itself politely. I think we all know that one too. You pulling back wasn't an attack, it was information, right? It showed what happens when commentary has to stand on its own without someone else quietly translating it into action. And the fact that tension appeared without a single word being exchanged tells me this: it wasn't about communication, okay? It was about expectation. Could this have been addressed directly? Possibly. But there's also value in letting people experience the natural consequences of their approach. Adults don't always need explanations. Sometimes they need contrast. You provided that calmly without theatrics, and that's why the situation feels heavy now, because contrast removes plausible deniability. I also want to address the part of your letter where you question whether you were being quietly unreasonable. That question tells me you're not acting out of spite. Okay. You're checking yourself. Exactly what you should be doing. You're aware that pulling back can feel uncomfortable, especially if you're used to being, I don't know, the one who makes things work, right? But discomfort doesn't automatically mean wrongdoing. Sometimes it means you stop doing something you were never asked to do in the first place. Seriously. Here's the truth, and I'll keep it plain. In shared spaces, especially unpaid ones, people who contribute the least are often the most surprised when things stop working. Not because anyone targeted them, okay, but because they mistook stability for inevitability. Stability is built. When the builders step back, the structure reveals itself. So, no, I don't think you were wrong for what you did. I think you made a quiet adjustment that exposed a dynamic that needed to be seen, though. You didn't embarrass anyone. You didn't escalate. You didn't make it personal. You just stopped cushioning reality. That's not a bad thing. And if someone felt unsettled by that, that's worth sitting with, because the discomfort isn't about your behavior. It's about the sudden visibility of effort that used to be invisible. That's not cruelty, that's clarity. If there's any takeaway here though, it's this: okay, influence without involvement is fragile. It only works as long as someone else is willing to absorb the consequences. The moment that stops, the whole thing gets shaky. And sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is step aside and let that shakiness be noticed. Bless your heart, not because you handled this perfectly, pardon me, but because you trusted yourself enough to stop overfunctioning. You didn't burn anything down. You didn't make a mess. You simply chose not to hold the entire structure up by yourself anymore. And honestly, I wouldn't have done it, but I respect that chaos that you chose. Some crazy chaos, but I respect that. I do. I do. Now, here comes the part where I'm going to give my voice a little break because that was a long one. Thank you, honey. Love you. Oh, ads. Yay, paid. Woo. Thank you, Tracy. Love you. My Tracy doll is back. I love it. Okay, so I have a little break video I'm going to give y'all here in just a second. I just want to say this. This is a video that I made for the I See You, Honey This is a video that I made for the entire universe that I work with. I am BBTV, and I work with an amazing group of people, with Mama Lions with Rising Resilience, and with Big Jack Storytime with the Iron Sharpening Iron Show. Now, the Iron Sharpening Iron Show is about to be the Iron Sharpening Iron universe, and we are headed into 2026 with high ambition. Let me tell you, we are doing nothing but going up and up. So, first, I'm going to give you, let's see, this right here. And then I'm going to play you my little video because I'm pretty proud of it. Don't forget to listen to the song real good because I wrote those lyrics. Thank you, Suno.
She came from the quiet storms, built a fire from the ground, turned a whisper to a warning. Now her voice shakes the town. Every setback was a lesson, every doubt became a key, unlocking something bigger. That's the rise of Boss B. When the lights go low, her vision hits high. She built a whole damn network off a promise and a try. Every sunrise, every moment, she's stacking legacy. This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV. Boss B rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel road to the neon dream, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss B rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's the queen of the comeback, the storm in the stream, crafting stories out of heartbeats, making visions out of dreams. Got thunder in the hustle, got a voice that cuts clean. Every mic she touches turns the power unseen. So let brothers spin the numbers, let the views rise slow or fast. Boss B doesn't measure wins by echoes of the past. This moment is a pivot, this season's history. Bow down to the founder of the BBTV dynasty. Boss B rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dream, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss B rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's got fire in the head, it's got truth in the frame, got a heart that won't retire and a gift you can't name. Every loop, every letter, every dream she sets free, it's a love note to the world sign. Boss B. And the world keeps watching as the numbers climb, but she's counting all the moments, not the dollar signs. From the late night grind to the daylight scene, she's building something bigger than the algorithm's dream. Boss B rising, BBTV shining, her story's rewriting, a legacy in real time. Boss B rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss B rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. BBTV, where the stories breathe. BBTV, where the dreamers believe. Boss B rising, watch her take her place. This is BBTV, this is her grace.
Join Boss B for Ask a Bee Monday through Friday, 12 noon Central Standard Time and Jukebox Journey every Saturday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time.
I am muted. Thank you, Tracy. See, this is why I need you. I can't believe I forgot to unmute it. I'm just happy today, I guess. So we're going to start over on that one. So I'm going to take you down the gravel road because this is where the petty isn't coming. You're the best, Tracy Doll. This is where the petty isn't going to be coming from the writer. It's actually coming from them. Or it's coming at them, pardon me. And if Bless Your Heart is about choices people made with confidence, Gravel Road is dealing with the aftermath of someone else's unnecessary behavior without losing your mind in the process, okay? Because Gravel Road letters usually come from people who are standing there thinking, I didn't start this. I didn't escalate it. And yet here I am trying to figure out how to walk away without kicking a rock on the way out, okay? These are the situations where someone else is doing entirely too much and the writer is just trying to decide whether to ignore it, address it, or accept that this is now a regular feature of their life. Pardon me, my husband sounds like he's having a cough attack. I should have shut the door. It's all my fault. That's all right. No worries. This is also where perspective matters, okay? Because when you're dealing with a petty person, the temptation is to either match their energy or overcorrect for it, right? Neither option ever feels great. Gravel Road is about slowing it down, looking at what's actually happening, and trying to figure out what response deserves your time and what absolutely does not, okay? So as you listen to this next letter, pay attention to the patterns. Notice how often the behavior repeats, how predictable it is, and how much effort the writer has already put into not making it a bigger deal than it needs to be, right? Most of the time, the answer isn't dramatic, it's practical. And it starts with recognizing when someone else's petty doesn't require your participation. So let's take a walk down the gravel road and see what we're working with.
Dear B, I'm writing because I'm dealing with someone who has a talent for turning small things into ongoing situations, and I'm trying to figure out whether I'm handling it the right way or just slowly losing my patience in a polite voice. I work alongside this person in a space where people show up because they want to be there. Nobody's paid, nobody's obligated, and most of us understand that things only run smoothly when people actually participate. The issue is that this person has strong opinions about how things should look, sound, and feel, but a very selective relationship with actually stepping in to help make those things happen. It started small, comments here and there, little remarks about timing, tone, or presentation that didn't seem like a big deal at first. But over time, those remarks turned into a pattern. Every time something didn't land perfectly, there was a comment. Every time a decision was made without them, there was a reaction. Not confrontational, just pointed. Like I was supposed to read between the lines and adjust accordingly. What makes it frustrating is that none of this is ever said directly. It's always framed as an observation or a concern, or something they heard. And yet, the expectation seems to be that I'll either fix it, respond to it, or change how I'm doing things to accommodate it. All without any actual request or contribution on their end. I've tried ignoring it. I've tried acknowledging it politely and moving on. I've even tried adjusting my own approach just to keep things from feeling awkward. But no matter what I do, the commentary continues, and the tension seems to follow me around like a shadow I didn't ask for. Lately, I've started pulling back. I'm still doing what I agreed to do, but I've stopped anticipating their reactions or trying to preempt their comments. If something doesn't meet their expectations, I let it be what it is. And now I can feel the shift. Things feel colder, quieter. There's this unspoken sense that I've done something wrong, even though nothing was ever said out loud. I don't want to escalate this. I don't want a confrontation. But I also don't want to keep absorbing someone else's passive behavior just to keep the peace. Am I being reasonable by stepping back and letting things land, or am I making the situation worse by not addressing it head on? Gravel Road is feeling pretty rocky right now, trying not to match the energy.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Jeez. Okay, let's take this one carefully because this is a situation a lot of people recognize immediately, even if they've never had words for it. You're not dealing with an open conflict, okay? You're dealing with commentary. You see the theme today? And commentary, especially the quiet, pointed kind, has a way of draining energy without ever giving you a clear moment to respond to. You're in a volunteer environment, which immediately changes the rules of engagement. No one is being paid, no one is obligated to stay, and no one signed up to be managed. That means cooperation works best when it's mutual and transparent. When it's not, tensions they creep in quietly and they set up shop without asking permission. What stands out right away in this pattern you described, this isn't a one-off comment or a misunderstanding. This is a repeated behavior, small remarks, side comments, observations framed as concerns, nothing direct, nothing actionable, and nothing that actually requires the person making the comments to step in and help resolve the issue. That pattern matters more than any single comment ever could. When someone consistently offers opinions without ownership, it creates a strange imbalance, right? You're left holding the responsibility to interpret, adjust, and respond while they get to remain comfortably vague. It's a clever position, whether intentional or not. If things go well, they can feel affirmed, right? If things go poorly, they can say they tried to say something. Either way, the work isn't theirs. You've already tried the responsible options. You've ignored it. You acknowledged it politely. You adjusted your approach to keep things smooth, and none of that resolved the behavior, which tells you something important. The issue isn't a lack of communication. The issue is expectation. Someone expects their commentary to carry weight without carrying responsibility. So when you pulled back, you didn't create a problem. You revealed one. Okay? Let's talk about that pullback because this is where people often second guess themselves. You didn't stop doing your part. You didn't sabotage anything. You didn't retaliate. You simply stopped anticipating someone else's reactions and stopped preemptively fixing things that were never clearly assigned to you. That's not avoidance. That's boundary setting in action, okay? Even if it was announced as such. And yes, when you do that, things feel colder, quieter, slightly uncomfortable. That's not because you did something wrong. That's because the emotional labor you were providing quietly disappeared. And now the space has to adjust. Systems always react when the person smoothing the edges steps back. It can feel personal to the people who benefited from it, even when it isn't theirs, right? There's also something worth naming about the kind of petty that you're dealing with here. This isn't explosive petty. This is strategic petty, okay? The kind that hides behind tone and phrasing. The kind that relies on implication instead of directness. It's exhausting precisely because it never gives you a clean moment to address it. You're always reacting to shadows. And here's the part that might make you laugh a little, because sometimes humor helps us see things clearly. There is a special confidence involved in offering repeated commentary while remaining allergic to actual involvement. It's impressive in a way. Maybe not. I wouldn't have done it. Nope. I wouldn't have done it. But I respect the commitment to staying in the observation deck. Truly. What you're feeling now isn't guilt, though. It's discomfort from breaking a pattern. When you stop compensating for someone else's behavior, you feel exposed at first. Natural. Completely natural, because you're used to being the one who keeps things steady. But steadiness that depends entirely on one person, it's not sustainable. It's just and it's just invisible until it isn't. Okay. Now, you asked whether making things worse by not addressing it head on. Okay, that depends on what you mean, really, by addressing it. A confrontation isn't always the most effective move, obviously, especially when the behavior itself avoids directness. Sometimes matching clarity with clarity works. Other times, consistency does more than conversation ever could. Hi, Daniel. That sounds like YouTube. Yeah, it does, doesn't it, Tracy? So, right now, your consistency is doing the talking. You're doing what you agreed to do. You're no longer translating someone else's tone into action. You're allowing their commentary to exist without immediately reacting to it. That's not escalation. That's neutrality. If the behavior continues, you may eventually decide to say something plainly, not emotionally, okay, not defensively. Something as simple as ask for, I don't know, direct request instead of implications, or who will be handling a task when a concern is raised. Those questions don't accuse, they clarify. And clarity tends to make vague behavior very uncomfortable very quickly. But here's the key point I don't want you to miss, okay? You are not required to absorb passive behavior just to keep the peace. Peace that depends on one person carrying all the weight isn't peace. It's quiet resentment waiting for a reason to speak up. You're also not responsible for managing how someone else feels when their commentary stops being quietly accommodated. Fact the madness. Absolutely. Good to see you, brother. How are you? People sometimes perceive neutrality as being weak. I beg to differ. Weak. Well, I can understand that. But, neutrality can also be self-preservation. So, tension isn't cruelty, okay? Sometimes it's just the sound of a system adjusting to reality. What I hear in your letter is someone who's trying very hard not to become the thing that they're dealing with. You don't want to match the energy. You don't want to escalate. You don't want to be petty back, right? And that restraint matters. It tells me you're paying attention to your own integrity, not just to the situation. So here's my answer, plain and simple. You're not being unreasonable. You're being observant. You noticed a pattern that wasn't healthy and you stopped feeding it. That doesn't make you cold. It makes you aware. And awareness is usually the first step towards deciding what you're willing to carry and what you're not. If the environment settles and the behavior adjusts, great. If it doesn't, you'll have more information to work with. Either way, you don't need to rush into confrontation just to prove you're not the problem. Your actions already say enough. So gravel road isn't always about fixing the other person. Sometimes it's about adjusting your footing so you don't keep slipping in someone else's nonsense. You're allowed to walk carefully. You're allowed to choose where to step. And you're allowed to stop carrying rocks you never picked up in the first place. And honestly, if someone is surprised by that, that's information too. So, goodness, fact the madness. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the difference. Because you know what? That's what we're here for. Not everybody has to agree. And that's the beauty of being human, I think, because everybody has a story. So, all right. Goodness. Let's see here. I'm trying to get back to where I was. I'm a little out of it today, y'all. I really did work out in the cold yesterday all day long in the elements, and I'm not used to it. And it felt good, but then again, it wore me down. So, all right. Before I wrap this up, though, quick housekeeping, and this actually matters, especially if you're here from you're here often. If you enjoy Ask a Bee, Monday Petty Monday, or any of the shows across our channels, all 3 channels, Rising Resilience and the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe, we are all a part of that. Okay. The best way to support what we're building is by becoming a channel member. Membership is how these shows stay independent. Okay. Everybody knows you've got to pay for some kind of cool little tool to make it work, right? So we want our shows to stay independent, consistent, and creator driven. It helps cover the time, the tools, the work that goes into keeping everything running. Ads, yay, Tracy, that's 3, honey. Love you. So it keeps content exactly where it belongs, with the people who built it, because becoming a member is simple. Okay. Under the video right now, you'll see the join button right next to the subscribe button. You'll also see the emblem of the person that you are watching through their channel. If that's the one you want, go ahead and click. I mean, double click if you need to. Just click. Click that, choose the tier that works for you, and you're in. You're watching on mobile, tap the channel name, then tap join from there. Same idea, just one extra step. And here's the important part. Memberships apply per channel. So if you follow us across multiple channels and want to support more than one of us, make sure you're joining on the channel you want to support directly. Okay. Every channel has its own little buttons, join button, subscribe button, all that stuff. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button too. Okay, guys? And every membership helps keep that specific lane strong. Members get access to perks, early content, priority interaction, and behind the scenes moments. But more than anything, membership is how you tell us, yes, keep doing this. This matters. So if these conversations resonate with you, if you find yourself coming back laughing, thinking, or just feeling seen, consider hitting that join button. We appreciate every single one of you who shows up, watches, shares, supports in any way. Okay? Oh, no. No, I wish there was Fact of Madness. There is not. There is not. It would be so much more helpful if there were, because, we are proud to be the team that we are. And I had somebody ask me this, so I decided I would try and get it out there a little bit more, that sometimes, you think you're supporting one and you end up supporting somebody else, and that's not what you wanted to do. That's okay. I encourage you to support all of us, because we are a wonderful team and we're going places. Now, if otherwise, I will be here running while I'm working. Okay, thank you. So, no, there's not a button you can support all channels. You have to do them individually. But any and all are greatly appreciated, okay? We want you to be the member of the channel that you watch the most. Oh, thank you, Fact. I appreciate that. I really do. I can't say enough about this team. I absolutely adore the people that I work with. And it's camaraderie is what it is more than anything, because we keep boosting each other up in every way possible. It's what a team should do. And it just makes me so darn happy I'm here. All right, that's where we're going to leave it today. If anything in this episode sounded familiar, or if you caught yourself nodding, laughing, or thinking, yeah, I've been there, then Monday Petty Monday did exactly what it was supposed to do. This isn't about tearing people down. And it's not about pretending nonsense doesn't exist either. It's about noticing behavior, naming patterns, and deciding how much of your energy you're actually willing to spend on things that doesn't deserve it. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't confrontation, it's clarity. If you've got a story, a moment, or a situation that made you pause and say, am I wrong, or is this just unnecessary? You already know what to do. Send it. Send in your letters, please. We want to hear from you, all of us. And it doesn't have to be just me, okay? Please send your emails to Big Jack. Absolutely. He's got some wonderful shows that he's doing and that we're doing and that we're all working on. Lots of stuff in 2026. I'm so excited. Okay, so here is somewhere. Yeah, I did that one earlier. Here we go. There is our emails. If you'd like to send us a letter, please do. If you want it read, please let us know. If you don't want it read, please let us know. If you just need an answer to an issue that you think you might be having, go ahead and write us because we're here. We're here for you. That's what we're all about. We're here to grow and glow together. Okay? Now, Ask a Bee, Monday through Friday, Jukebox Journey on Saturday. You guys, Jukebox Journey is really starting to be my favorite episode. So let's get into it again, okay? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same happy attitude. I love you all. Thank you, Tracy Doll, for all the ads you've watched. I love you, love you, love you. I'm going to stop watching over 1,000 hours a week watching others stepping back. There you go, honey. See? There you go. It did help somebody. Now I feel real good today. All right, you guys. I will see you.
How you like that?